I stood frozen in the pitch-black safety of our guest bedroom, while my chest heaved with quiet panic. The plastic receiver in my trembling hand buzzed with a low-frequency static that suddenly carried the familiar voice of my husband. He was whispering words of deep affection to another woman, and those gentle sentences instantly shattered the foundation of our entire world. My name is Valerie, and until that precise second, I believed that my life in the quiet suburbs of Ohio was completely secure. I was a 42-year-old woman who found genuine comfort in the daily routines of managing a beautiful home and caring for our family. The gentle rhythm of our comfortable existence had always felt like a protective shield against the harsh realities of the outside world. For nearly 2 decades, Wesley and I had built what looked like the perfect marriage alongside our sweet 16-year-old daughter Chloe. My days were filled with simple tasks like preparing breakfast and ensuring that my husband felt supported in his demanding corporate career. However, an icy distance had slowly crept into our spacious house during the early weeks of autumn, and the familiar warmth was fading fast. The first real shift occurred on a bright Saturday morning, while the sweet aroma of waffles filled our bright kitchen. Wesley sat at the counter completely absorbed in his glowing screen with a strange, secretive expression that I had never observed before. He casually mentioned that his upcoming college reunion was being organized by Diana, who was the prominent former girlfriend from his distant youth. When the weekend of the reunion finally arrived, I wore my favorite elegant emerald gown, hoping to spark some of our old romance. Instead, the grand ballroom became the stage for my worst fears when Diana walked through the doors with effortless confidence. The immediate way my husband looked at her sent a sharp chill straight to my stomach, and their lingering embrace felt entirely inappropriate. During the long drive back to our neighborhood, the silence between us felt incredibly heavy and suffocating. In the subsequent weeks, Wesley started working incredibly late hours, and he constantly shielded his phone from my view during dinner. My close friend Janice warned me to trust my female instincts over coffee, but I desperately wanted to believe that my husband was just stressed about work. The fragile illusion completely broke on a rainy afternoon when my husband left his phone face up on the marble counter while he showered upstream. A brief notification flashed across the screen from an unknown number asking when they could experience another secret afternoon together. My heart raced as I stared at the screen, realizing that the quiet distance in my marriage was actually a calculated betrayal. Instead of screaming in rage, I chose to find definitive proof before making any permanent accusations. I uncovered an old electronic baby monitor that we had stored away since the early childhood of Chloe, and I carefully hid the base unit near the living room sofa. I needed to know the absolute truth because the painful uncertainty was beginning to destroy my sanity from the inside out. The final confrontation began on a chilly Friday evening, when Wesley dismissed my emotional concerns about our lack of intimacy. I intentionally raised my voice and declared that I needed some immediate fresh air before slamming the heavy front door with immense force. I drove my vehicle around the block and quietly slipped back into the dark garage through a side entrance that I purposefully left unlocked. I carefully crept up the stairs toward the isolated guest room and activated the small plastic receiver with a trembling hand. The speaker hummed to life with a soft hiss of white noise that filled the dark space around me with heavy anticipation. Within a few moments, the heavy footsteps of my husband echoed through the empty lower level as he walked directly toward the living room couch. The audio monitor suddenly crackled as the voice of Wesley echoed clearly through the small speaker. He spoke into his phone, saying that Valerie had finally left the house and given him some much-needed breathing room. He explicitly told Diana that he could no longer continue pretending to be happy in a routine marriage that felt more like a business contract than a genuine romance. He continued speaking with a rare tenderness that he had not shown to me in many years of our marriage. He told her that their recent secret encounters made him feel truly alive and appreciated for the first time in decades. The speaker even carried the distant reply of Diana, who assured him that she was entirely ready to build a new future together without any more hiding. Hot tears flowed freely down my cold cheeks as I sat paralyzed on the edge of the mattress. The man who had promised to love me forever was casually dismantling our entire existence while our daughter slept at the house of a friend. I forced myself to take a deep breath and wipe away the moisture before standing up with a newfound sense of cold determination. I walked down the creaking staircase and entered the living room where Wesley was comfortably seated with a cold beverage. He jumped up in absolute shock when he noticed me standing in the dim light of the hallway. He stammered frantically and asked why I was back so soon, because he genuinely believed that I had driven away from the house for the night. I looked directly into his eyes and told him that I had heard every single word of his conversation through the baby monitor. His face instantly lost all of its color, and he set his drink down on the wooden table with a shaky hand. He desperately tried to explain that the entire situation was just a massive misunderstanding and a stupid midlife mistake that meant nothing. I told him that true love does not involve planning a secret departure with another woman while your loyal wife is still managing your home. I reminded him that I had sacrificed my own dreams to build this family while he was busy chasing corporate promotions and external validation. The excuses he offered felt entirely hollow as they echoed off the walls that were covered with happy family photographs. Wesley reached out his hands to touch my shoulder, but I firmly stepped away from his dishonest grasp. In that precise second of absolute clarity, I realized that the marriage we had spent 18 years building was officially over and could never be repaired. The pain was undeniably immense, but the suffocating fog of doubt had finally lifted from my mind, leaving only truth behind. As the morning light slowly began to break through the kitchen windows, I knew that a difficult path lay ahead for Chloe and me. However, I also recognized that living in a painful truth was infinitely better than wasting away in a comfortable lie. I learned that my true worth was never defined by the devotion of a dishonest partner, but by my own strength to walk away.